It's officially win or go home in the Winter Olympics as the knockout rounds begin today. In less than a week, we will find out who will be going home with Olympic gold.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Locked On Predators podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Thank you for making us your first stop of the day. We are your free daily Nashville Predators podcast. I want to start off by shouting out all of our Locked On Predators podcast community and our everydayers who tune in to chat all things Preds every day. My name is Jack Williams, and I am the Nashville Predators beat writer for the Hockey News. And today, it's all about the Olympics, what's going on specifically with the Preds at the Olympics, as we're getting into a critical stage of the games. We're getting right to the end of the games here, y'all. And Predators hockey will be returning to Nashville right around the corner here, but we're still in Olympic mode here. As you can see, I've got myself all dialed up. If you guys are watching on YouTube, if you're listening, I'll give you guys the best description I have going on here. I have the Nashville Predators NSH Olympic jersey that I can't remember what game it was given out. It was right before the Olympic Games, which feels like ages ago. And then I got some red, white, and blue Mardi Gras beads. This past week, a lot of those episodes were pre-recorded because I was out in New Orleans this weekend for Mardi Gras, y'all. I behaved, of course. It was a good time. It's a big family tradition of mine where we, not every year, but each other year, we go to Mardi Gras, have a big celebration. It's a big part of our family. So it was nice to go out there and celebrate. It was an 8-hour drive to New Orleans down there and then back. We left today being Sunday. We left at 6 a.m. and got back here between having to make some pit stops and run some errands. We made it back to my apartment at 6:30 p.m. So it's been a long day, and I'm tired. But you know what? I'm going to give you guys just about everything that I have left in the tank before this podcast ends. I will probably just go and collapse. Before we get into today's episode, I want to talk to you guys about the mailbag. We're going to do Mailbag Mondays here on the Locked On Preds podcast. That mailbag link, a Google Forms link, will be available in the YouTube description, in the podcast description, and it will be available on socials as well. So feel free to look out for that. I'm putting that here in the beginning of the episode. I really want you guys interacting with it. So this is something we could do every Monday. Want to hear from you guys. Want to hear just about everything from you guys. And we're going to start doing this on Monday. So that link will be in the show notes. It will be on social media. And if you guys, if you want to ask me where to find it, I'll send it right to you. That will be our mailbag link. So send your questions away. But let's jump right into it here. A lot of Olympic storylines happening here. Reminder of who's playing in the games from the Predators here. Juuse Saros and Erik Haula are playing for Finland, Roman Josi for Switzerland, and Filip Forsberg for Sweden. One of the biggest storylines that jumped out in the beginning here was Juuse Saros. And man, he had a rough first outing here. But in a similar way, it kind of encapsulated what we've seen from him this year, and that it's been a rough start for him and just facing a lot of shots, standing on his head, unfortunately not coming up with the win, to then seeing his game become more dominant, eventually into a winning spot as the Preds have moved this year. His Olympic outing started in a 4-1 loss to Slovakia. And man, you guys have been watching the game. You got to know, this Slovakia team has been an absolute wagon. They have been red hot. I don't know if anybody's seen or expected the Slovakia team to come out of the gate, beat Finland in their first game, be competitive against Sweden, and just continue to roll to eventually pick up a bye into the knockout round. We'll talk about how that affected Sweden later on in the episode here, but talking about what had happened in Saros in that first game, 21 saves on 24 shots, allowed 3 goals. That fourth goal was an empty net goal. The first goal was kind of just Saros getting a little greedy with it, a little too confident with it, just going out for the poke check. I believe Slafkovsky scored that first goal. He had 2 goals in that game. Saros went out to go poke check it. Slafkovsky just used all his frame, was able to carry the puck out, go far, pad side, right side on Saros, just tap it in, make it a 1-0 game. The second goal was just unfortunate. Sebastian Aho created a screen, and the puck, I think that was the one where the puck came off him, and the puck came off the shot off of Sebastian Aho. The Slovakian player was able to go 5-hole on Saros. Just a hard situation to read. And then the third goal from Slovakia, the second goal wasn't from him. The third goal was his second goal of the game. It was just a good shot. Went bar down on Saros, and just an unfortunate start for the Predators goalie. It's been a rough season for him and just what he's faced and just the adversity he's had to go against as well. He's put up some decent stats for the situation he's been in, but Saros has been good throughout the year. It's just the situations he's been in have been a little bit harder than usual. Second game really bounced back, 34 saves and 35 shots, 1 goal allowed, and a 4-1 win over Sweden. Big rivalry game, y'all. Sweden versus Finland is like Canada versus US up in Europe in hockey. This is a really big deal. This is a very big competitive game. 4 nations, when we're talking about 4 nations, 2 rivals, Finland, Sweden, United States, and Canada. Big game, big performance for Saros in this, only allowing him 1 goal. The goal he allowed him was also out a screen out front, which is what we've seen a lot of this year. We've seen a ton of that this year, and just the Predators letting anybody into the slot in the low slot harass Saros and Ananen, and the puck ends up going. And so we see more of the same of that here. But in my opinion, he played extremely well in this game. His shot tracking was unbelievable, and just he was able to get all the shots that were going towards him. He was able to move and get them centralized in him a little bit more. So he kind of had to do like kind of a crab bunch up save there a little bit. So really just good shot tracking there. And then some really acrobatic shots to spread out there, whether it be with his legs or just his full body. This was a good redemption game for him, and he really stood out and did what he needed to do in this game here. Shutout would have been nice, but he got that in the next game. He made 15 saves on 15 shots and an 11-0 win over Italy. He didn't see much action, but he just did what he needed to do. Italy is kind of just here right now. They are here because they are the host of the games. It's been a rough outing for Italy. I think I predicted with the hockey news that they were going to only score 5 goals in this tournament, and they are kind of on that pace right now. But we'll see what Italy does in the knockout round in the first round there. But what a great redemption arc so far by Juuse Saros. And if he's playing well, I think this Finland team could really get going and really make a run possibly for a gold medal and getting to that gold medal game. He's moving really well. It looks like he finds his form a little bit more. And it looks like Finland is starting to crank up a little bit with that 11-0 win over Italy. It's been a lot of, like I said, it's been a lot of what we've seen this year where Saros plays well, but the result in front of him might not be great too. In these 3 games, it's kind of just encapsulated the season, as I mentioned before, and just the team beginning to play well around him and just spreading even more. And this is a Finland team with a lot of talent and seemingly has found their identity a little bit more, their mojo a little bit more. So it's good to see this for sure. Want to touch a little bit about Erik Haula as well, because he is playing for Team Finland. He has 3 assists in 3 games, which is a great outing for him in his first Olympic Games. 2 assists against Italy, 1 against Sweden. It's great to see it for Haula, especially as a bottom 6 guy coming out of Nashville, which again, this isn't the best team in the NHL, but him getting his first ever Olympic bid and putting up some good stat lines, good points, an assist per game, a point per game is still a great pace for a guy like Erik Haula, who is a little bit older, who had to battle a little bit more to, stay relevant, I guess. And it just it's good for him. It's a good boost for support, and hopefully that amps up into his game coming back to Nashville. But Finland is going to get Switzerland or Italy in the 5-12 matchup. That is the last team, Switzerland, and we'll talk about Switzerland in a second. The last team that missed the bye versus the team that played the worst in the round robin stage, or I guess preliminary stage is what you want to call it. Finland will get one of those as Finland earned the final bye into the knockout rounds. So good showing for Finland. As I'll mention later, I think this team has a lot of potential. They're really starting to heat up. Yes, they had a bad game against Slovakia, but they could see them again. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later and the potential of the Preds being on the podium. But we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to talk about some ads, but when we come back, we're going to go to the other side of this perspective a little bit more, and we'll get a little bit more negative and talk about what's going on with Filip Forsberg. Not so much his performance, just the lack of what we've seen from him and what's going on. It's Fillsbury I think I said that right. It's Forsberg. Why haven't we seen him, especially on the biggest stage in hockey? That's coming up after the break. If you've ever hired someone who looks good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed's sponsored jobs. Hiring Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling and get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page. It helps you reach the right candidates faster. If I needed to hire someone for the show, I'd go straight to Indeed and be very specific about what I need. Real experience, not just resume buzzword. Instead of struggling to get your job post seen, Indeed sponsored jobs helps your listing stand out and reach quality candidates faster. Sponsored job boosts your post to the people who are the best match for your role, and that makes a real difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored job posts directly on Indeed are 90% more to likely report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of the show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement it deserves on Indeed.com/locked on. Just go to Indeed.com/locked on right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Got a nice injured rev there. I don't know if that is registering. Oh, yeah, I could see it registering. Isn't that wonderful? Got a busy road that we live by here in 10:53 on a Monday. I'm not petty at all. I'm not petty at all. But you know who's having a good attitude and definitely deserves to be petty during all this right now? That's Filip Forsberg. And y'all, we're going to get off the rails a little bit here and been pretty stat heavy, been on a good pace here. And you know what? We're going to stay on a good pace here. But let's get a little heated a little bit and just talk about the stats he had coming into this Olympic tournament. 47 points in 57 games. That's 24 goals and 23 assists, getting a nice, almost round balanced goals to assist ratio there. You got to love that. But the jaws dropped in the first game against Italy. He played one shift for 1 minute and 7 seconds of ice time, and it was a 5-2 win versus Sweden. The writings were in the cards beginning of the game. Saw from the lineup that he was the 13th forward, and that guys that were producing much less than him in the NHL were way up in the lineup and getting way more ice time. And you know what? The mindset was, okay, it's the first game. They probably want to reserve him a little bit. They're playing Italy. It's Sweden. They're going to beat down on them. And you know what? 5-2 just wasn't enough against Italy. This was supposed to be a game that they were supposed to run away with. And in my opinion, I think in most opinions too, 5-2 isn't a runaway, especially in the Olympic table where goals do matter. And goals and what you're winning by, that's so important. That's going to come into haunt Sweden later on. Then they played Finland, an embarrassing 4-1 loss to Sweden. For a while at the international stage, at least from my last memory, Sweden's been up there a lot. Finland has gotten involved into the mix, but in best on best hockey, which we really haven't seen a ton of that lately. I mean, this is the first time we've really seen it since 2014, 2016 in the World Cup of Hockey. It's been a lot of Sweden over Finland. So Finland getting going is a little bit new here, and it's kind of a show it to them, we're the big brother now type of situation for Finland. But in this game, more ice time completely, 9 minutes and 31 seconds. So getting about 8.5 minutes. I'm sorry if I did that math wrong. I apologize. I'm really bad at math. 8.5 minutes of ice time more than the first game, 12 more shifts. -1 the ice. That's still, I mean, for a guy producing like that who is 16th right now in Sweden's all-time scores in the NHL, that's still not a lot. That's not even remotely close what he deserves at all. So it's better. It's completely better. I mean, he got, I can't even think of an analogy. He got marbles playing against Italy. He got nothing. He got the snow on the ice. The snow on the ice saw more action than he did against Italy. And Finland, his ice time went up, but that's not enough compared to some of these other guys. And we're going to roll through it in a second. And then against Slovakia, and we'll explain the Slovakia game later on because that's critical into what's happening in the games here. Got one more shift, 14 shifts for 11:45 of ice time, and he had an assist, and he had +1. First point of the tournament, which is good to see him get on the board, and a 5-3 win over Slovakia, which didn't really feel like a win, but we'll get to that. He should be playing more completely, and I'll read off the names here completely, and we'll give them their flowers. Joel Eriksson Ek, he had 17 minutes versus Italy, 20 minutes versus Finland, and 21 minutes versus Slovakia. Lucas Raymond had 2 more seconds against Slovakia of ice time, but Eriksson Ek has led the team in the forwards in ice time, I should say, for 2 out of the 3 games. And that's fine. These are young guys. Sweden has guys better than Filip Forsberg. I know he's the Predators guy. He's great here. He's a great Swedish player. But you guys, we got to take it in and just see it how it is, too. There are some really great hockey players that are coming from Sweden, and there are better guys, younger guys that are coming up through the pipeline in Sweden. But, we got a big but here. He's still critically important to what Sweden needs to do to win this, or just get in the medal placement, or even just get further into the knockout rounds, because this Sweden team just doesn't look ready. They need a scoring force. They need to get more shots on net. They need to get going a little bit more. And you know who has that? Filip Forsberg. And again, this is the best month of the year that he plays. Why aren't we seeing him ripping it up right now in Milano Cortana? He should be all over that ice right now. I'd expect someone who has such a filthy wrist shot like Filip Forsberg, or the speed he does, or just the sense to be all over the ice. I don't know what's going on with Sweden, but it's just, why are you limiting this guy? It's head scratching. And maybe it's the whole thing of chemistry and seeing what's working, but then you go back into it. You should have beaten Italy by more. You needed to beat Italy by more. You were embarrassed by Finland, and then you needed, period, to beat Slovakia by more. If you guys watched the Slovakia-Sweden game, Slovakia lost the game, but they celebrated like they won. It was I think Sweden won by 2, and it was a 3-goal differential late. And Sweden, if they won that game, I believe they would have gotten the bye. If Slovakia had cut it by 1 goal, Slovakia would have gotten the bye. Slovakia cut it by a goal. They lost the game, but celebrated by they won because they earned that bye. Sweden won the game. They were disappointed on the ice because they're not getting the bye. And you know what? If you had, and this is obviously a biased perspective completely, but it's hard not to imagine if you don't have a guy as active as Filip Forsberg and what we've seen from him this year and how involved he's been in just the shot he gets off, where he is on the ice, and just the sense that he's been the Predators' most consistent player next to Roman Josi for the past few years. And he is in the prime of his career. You could talk about all day. If he was with like a Colorado or like a Carolina or anybody who's really, really good right now, he could, I'll say it, I'll be bold, he could be a Hart contender. He could be leading the league in scoring right now. If he had the right pieces with a team that is in their prime right now, he could be unbelievable. And he himself is in his prime right now. So it's weird and doesn't make sense that he isn't involved as much. So we'll see what happens. These knockout games, these first set of knockout games will be done by the time this episode comes out. That's the unfortunate part of this, is these knockout games come out these hockey games are really, really early in the morning. So when this comes out, a lot of this might be dated. I believe the first games, because I was thinking about it, I'm like, maybe I'll watch a few of the games before I go to work. Like, and you know how everybody has the mentality of like, I'm going to get up early and I'm going to be refreshed and I'm going to get up before work. I'm going to have all this time to myself. And then you end up sleeping for how long? So I was like, I'm going to wake up at 5 and I'm going to watch these games. And I don't think that's going to happen. But these games do start at 5. I'm pulling up on my phone just to make sure that we're going to read these right for y'all. Germany plays France and Switzerland plays Italy. So Sweden won't play on Tuesday. They will play, I believe, the next day on Wednesday. But they need him. They need Filip Forsberg. They need to get him going. They will play Latvia in the knockout round. And that first round of the knockout rounds of the teams that missed the buys. And then the winner will play Team USA. So I will talk about that later. We'll talk about it in the final segment. But Sweden needs Forsberg. Forsberg needs to get going. I don't know what the situation is. I don't know if he's not playing well. I don't know if he's not gelling well. I don't know what the deal is. Sweden's coach has a vendetta against him. I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to get all conspiratorial any more forward. We'll go to a little bit more positive, which has been Roman Josi, who has just continued to pick up his play. That has been clutch for the Predators this year. And lately with the Predators, he's been adding an offensive flair to his game. He's already just been a sound, solid, rock steady defensive presence. He's really been getting going on offense now. He's carried that over into Switzerland, who is currently 2-1 in play right now. I can break it down a little bit more. They have an overtime win, and there's the goal differential. They got romped by Canada 5-1. Canada's just not been challenged yet. And it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be doing that. But they beat France 4-0, and then they pulled off a sweet 4-3 win over Czechia in overtime. Roman Josi has a goal and assist against Czechia. He scored a goal on a weird angle. We've seen that before a little bit this season. Do you remember the overtime goal against the Oilers where Shea took the risk of passing the puck all the way to the left faceoff dot in overtime? Josi scored from that angle, and the Predators won. Kind of did something similar again where he used his frame. By the way, that 90 looks so good in that Switzerland uniform. Let's just talk about that. That looks chef's kiss, so crisp. That's a good jersey to have. Ooh, would love to get my hands on that jersey. Used his frame to get into the zone on this goal, was able to backhand the puck off of Ratko Gudas and then into the net. Just a 3D chess play, good IQ play. And then he had an assist. I can't tell you how many times we've seen this year from the point. A slap shot went off of the goalie for the rebound, and Timo Meier was right there to put it away, and a 2-1 lead on the power play. And then in France, really could have had the goal here, but Timo Meier just added security to it, made sure it went in, had a wraparound opportunity, came out from the other side of the net, put it on net. Timo Meier was there to tip it right in and get an assist with the game against France. Logging heavy ice time per usual, and it's just continuously impressive that he does that at this age. He's a beast. He's a dog for sure. It's just impressive to see what he does here. And Switzerland is in the mix still. They're good. They were the last team to miss the bye, and they will play Italy, who is the worst team in pool play. The winner plays Finland, and I think that could be setting up for a very entertaining game. But Roman Josi, as we've seen it this year, and he only is continuing it into the Olympics, playing well per usual. But before we get into our final segment and our final ad break, I want to talk to you guys about the Everyday Club. Thank you for making Locked On Predators your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free with the Everyday Club and get Locked On Predators with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonpredators.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. When we come back, are any of the Preds going to be coming back to Nashville with any hardware? I'm not talking about Grammys. That's the usual hardware that comes back to Nashville. I'm talking about gold, bronze, and silver. Is any of that going to be coming back to Nashville? We will talk about that coming up after the break. Cold days, packed schedules, and big goals. That's winter. And when there's not a lot of time to cook, eating well can feel like another thing on the to-do list. That's where Factor comes into play. Factor makes healthy eating easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs, so you can eat without the planning, prepping, or cooking. Factor meals are always fresh, never frozen, and ready in about 2 minutes. Ingredients stand out: lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole foods, and healthy fats. No refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils. Tons of variety with 100 rotating meals each week, so it never gets boring. Options like high protein, calorie smart, Mediterranean diet, GLP-1 support, and even a new Muscle Pro collection for strength and recovery. Perfect for busy weeks when you still want meals that support your goals without all the stress. Head to factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50off and use code LockedOnNHL50off to get 50% off and a free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. One free breakfast item per box for 1 year while subscription is activated. So into the medal rounds, what we're all thinking of. Obviously, USA, big team to talk about for sure. But we're going to talk about the Preds here, and that we're going to elongate the USA talk a little bit more. Reminder, Preds hockey is still quiet right now. There's nothing going on right now. So we're going to get the most out of this Olympic juice as we can before Juuse and the crew return back to town. Sweden, in my opinion, is getting knocked out. They don't look good. Forsberg, if you get him activated, that will give you an edge, and that will give a really good arc here, which I think could happen here, where we see Filip Forsberg, who's been kind of, snubbed for minutes, ice time, gets going in the medal rounds and could take Sweden very, very far. From what I've seen so far, Sweden just looks like it's falling apart. In my opinion, I think I said, I don't remember if it got published or where it got published, but Hockey News, we had a survey, and I said Sweden would be the biggest disappointment of this tournament, of the Big Four, and they have been so far. They're the Big Four team, the only Big Four team that missed out on a bye. However, I don't think most people thought that Slovakia would get themselves into the mix. However, Sweden was not the first team to miss a bye. That was Switzerland. They just don't look good, in my opinion. They need a scoring jump. Filip Forsberg can provide that. I think he can get going. Again, if he gets going, I think this team has a good chance, but I just don't see them. I just don't see them getting past the United States there. The United States offers something a little bit more. However, I do think in a sense, if Sweden is playing with that desperation, I think we're going to get a really good game out of that. So I don't think Sweden's fully out of the picture, but if we're looking at a picture frame, there's like a third of it left. And this golden picture frame, or whatever color you want to make it, it's all the bronze, like tricolor or whatever. Sweden isn't really in that, in my opinion, but they could get going and get far. Finland and before I forget, Sweden is playing Latvia in that first round before going into quarters and then semis in the final. Finland, I think, could easily win a bronze medal or compete for a gold. Saros is playing very well. I don't think this Finland team is peaked. You have such a great talent pool on this Finland squad. I just don't think the talent has peaked yet. I think it's going to be hitting its form in the medal round at the perfect time. And it's coming up right now, especially against that 11-0 win over Italy. This group is coming up, and I think they're ramping up, and they're going to put up some good hockey out there. It's going to be good. Saros, like I said, he's a major part of this. He's playing well. I think they had a slow start, but they're really getting going. And the way the bracket looks right now, they'd run into Slovakia in the quarterfinal round. I don't think Slovakia beats Finland twice. I don't think Juuse Saros lets that happen. So that will be a good game. If it happens, that will be a great revenge game. And then finally, Switzerland. I think Switzerland could be a dark horse. Yes, they got romped by Canada. However, they could eject. Eject is not the right word. That's to go out of. I think they could put themselves into a bronze medal conversation. Roman Josi's pumping this team right now. They have some really good talent on Switzerland, some really good young talent. This team, this country has been building for a very long time. Fast team that's really buzzing, really gets things going. Fun team to watch. Really just good at getting pucks on net, good shots on net, fast, especially when you have a defenseman like Roman Josi, who is able to just get in there, score big goals, and is not afraid to drive to the net and knows how to use every inch of his form. I mean, this is a Switzerland team you can't count out, and they're going to play a fantastic game against Finland in that first round. Oh, excuse me. They are not playing Finland in that first round. They're playing Italy in that first round. I am kind of just brushing over it because I'm sorry. And, I might look like a fool if this happens, but I just don't see Italy just doesn't have a chance, in my opinion, in that game. It's rude to say a little bit, but I just don't think Italy has a chance against Switzerland. I think it's going to be Finland and Switzerland. And man, that is going to be some great, great, great hockey. And if Finland wins that game, then it gets to Slovakia. I think I did that wrong. Hold on, y'all. I want to make sure I get this right for you because I'm saying two different things right now. So we're going to do a little research pause. So I was going too far into the bracket. Now that I have it up in front of my eyes, the first round will be played Switzerland and Italy, and then Finland had that bye, as I mentioned. Now, I think, again, Switzerland's going to beat Italy. candidly, then it will be Finland and Switzerland in that quarterfinal round. Then that will be a great game. And then it will be either Slovakia versus Germany and France. I think I think Germany could be really competitive in that game, especially with a guy like Leon Draisaitl, Tim Stützle. But I think Slovakia is a good miracle juice to be left. And then in semifinals, it would be Finland and Slovakia. And then it could be Canada and the US. Is this the way no. That's not the way the bracket would form. It would Slovakia, Finland. That would be a great matchup. I think it wouldn't be 1-2. It'd be 1-4 and then 2-3. So the United States would play Slovakia if they got to the semifinal round, and then Canada would play Finland, and that would be a good game. But that would lead to a bronze medal game. Potentially Finland and Slovakia lose that, and that would be a rematch. Ooh, that would be good cinema, good hockey. Ooh, hockey gods. Ooh, that would be great. That'd be great. We get a USA-Canada final, and then we get Finland and Slovakia handed Finland that loss. Oh, that would be chef's kiss. That would be fantastic. I'm rooting for that. But as of now, the scheduled game is Switzerland and Italy. We were just talking about Switzerland in the play-in round, qualification round, and then Finland would play the winner of Switzerland and Italy. So again, Switzerland could be a dark horse, but the crisp chef's kiss in me thinks that it will be Canada, US, Slovakia, Finland. Or it could be, I think Switzerland could put themselves into that conversation too, and Germany could be there as well. But Finland, Slovakia for a medal, and that'd be so good. That's gonna make a great medal day. Excited. I'm just so excited talking about that, y'all. But that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys for joining me for another episode of the Locked On Predators podcast. You can find all my ramblings about the Olympics, the Preds, cover all different Nashville sports. I'm doing Vanderbilt and high school basketball this week at Jack G. Williams on Twitter/X. All my hockey, Nashville Predators related stuff. Find that on the Hockey News Nashville Predators. If you want to read my prep stuff or Vanderbilt, I do Vanderbilt for the Associated Press, and then I do high school sports for Main Street Preps, Main Street News. And then if you're just interested in Locked On Predators, Twitter, LO_Predators, Facebook, Instagram, we're Locked On Predators. And hey, Everyday Club, next opportunity to take up your listening experience to another level, Discord access. Don't have to hear ad reads, which is always nice. I still need to do them either way, but it's no problem by me. And it's all built for our most loyal fans. And then one more note, guys, want to get the Monday mailbag rolling? Absolutely. Want to get you guys involved. Want to hear your guys' responses and get all into it and get the conversation going. So check out that Google Forms link that will be in the show description on YouTube. On Spotify, wherever you guys listen to your podcast, that link will be there. But again, thankful for you guys, grateful for you guys, love having our conversations about the Preds. I hope you're enjoying the Olympics. I'm having a great time as well. Really looking forward to hockey coming back to Nashville here. Y'all, we got one more week. We're going to grind through it, and then, it's going to be trade deadline time. We're in Olympic mode right now. We're going to think about that right now. But thank you again for listening to another episode of the Locked On Predators podcast. I will see you guys tomorrow.